Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Thank you to the Endpoint guys who are allowing us to host this fun little podcast. My name is Zoot, and I'm joined by the wonderful Avik and cYpheR. Hope you're all staying safe at home. And actually, in order to introduce ourselves a little bit more, I'm going to go over to Avik. Avik, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself before we get into the whole thing?
I'm Avek. I play Quake. I woke up 30 minutes ago. I'm 29 years young. It's my last year of 20s, which I'm proud of. And I played Quake for over 15 years or about 15 years, something like that. I think I started even earlier than that. But competitively, I played about 15 years.
Fair play. And I'm over to you, cYpheR.
Yes, my name is Alex. People also know me like Lecha Tornado or like a cYpheR. Seriously. I also played Quake for 15 years. Me and Avik have like totally the same story in Quake, basically. And I woke up like 5 hours ago, and I'm 30. And I'm 30 years old like in about 1 week.
Whoa.
This
So
that's
Okay.
still
what
29. He's still 29.
that's what gonna happen.
Are you as
So
proud as Avik?
Excuse me?
Are you as proud as Avik for it to be almost the end of your 20s?
Man, it's stressful. Nothing to be proud of when you're 30. It's just stressful and that's it.
I agree. I'm 30, so I
you know,
totally agree.
I'm also very scared of age lately. So like this 30 years old is like big barrier. I don't know your ages, guys, but probably you are like you Zoot are above 30, right?
I'm 30. I'm
Yeah,
31 this
30.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, so the 30 is the number which is like big barrier, I guess, for everyone. So when
Hmm.
you're going into 30, then you are feeling quite different, right? And I remember 2 years ago we were talking about some things about age, and cYpheR told me about 27 Club. Like people made like 27 Club, and I was back then I was 26, and he told me, "Man, did you hear about 27 Club?" I'm like, "No, what is 27 Club?" Like everybody, every famous guy is dying at 27, and we
Yeah.
are going 27 soon. I'm like, "No, please."
You know, the funny thing
And
is
you are
that
already 28 almost, so
it's
what
21
can you
club
say?
now. It's 21
21.
now. Yeah, at the moment they change it. 'Cause-
Yeah, so every generation is becoming weaker and weaker.
yeah, yeah. But but there was the thing. There was a thing. It's not like from out of the blue. I was talking it. It's like a lot of people just passing out like at 27.
Yeah, 27 Club,
So
dangerous
as
team.
as positive as this is, I'm going to take control again because otherwise you guys don't even need me here, honestly. The format of this is that I'm going to be asking loads of questions. We've got things that we want to talk about, but there's a sort of a Q&A at the end. So if anyone in chat has anything they want to ask, then please line up your questions. But I want to touch on something immediately that cYpheR referenced, that you guys have a very similar story. I want to, you know, I think you guys have talked about this in the past and you've been to lands together, but is there a real way to like a root of how the relationship started? Was it online and then at LAN, or like, what happened for you guys to build your relationship together? I'll start with cYpheR actually, for you brought it up.
Uh, yeah. Well, look. I personally not really that kind of the guy who really likes like communication online or something like that. So also at that times, the social medias and all this kind of things wasn't the thing, and we had a lance like every 2 months minimum. And yeah, like our like path in the Quake, and we know each other only from lance and only from the real life. I would say, because like we barely talk to each other like online, maybe sometimes by some kind of like deal or like work, but usually we know each other from the lance. A lot of lance was happening together, so like this,
Yeah,
right?
Avik, was there anything to add to that? Like, was there a moment at a LAN that made you guys start talking?
Before what cYpheR said, I wanted to say that our stories, like what we're gonna say, are probably gonna be everything the same because I think we see the
Yeah.
situation exactly the same because we spoke in the past many times on LANs, on like after parties and things like this, how we met, how things go, and we both see the situation the same. So, um, actually, before meeting cYpheR, I spoke with him. I spoke with him one time in my life before meeting him in real life. It was the beginning of Quake 4 where we both started to to compete on the big scene, and we were going for international events. He won some Asus Cup against Cooler, I think, back then, and I won some like Norwegian tournament or like Dutch tournament. And then there was some news about me in his reality. He messaged me. He saw that I'm already good, and he asked me to practice. Then we didn't arrange practice somehow because back then I was also like playing against medium skill players. And then right after that we met already like in real life. So we didn't have a lot of like in common on internet. So we started to build our relation like from like face to face.
Yeah, we talk with Avik a lot about it, to be honest, and we like to be nostalgic in such kind of things because it was really fun times. But from if somebody doesn't know, like first of all, it was SWC 2006. I came there like to my first international tournament, and Avik couldn't participate there because of the age limit. But he came there just for like watching it. And before the tournament, I had we talked with Avik about that Avik for me was like a rival because I was personally thinking that I'm the only one my age and doing like really good in Quake, and I thought that I'm like the only one in the world and stuff like this. But then I noticed that the guy is even 1 year younger than me, and he's doing like a lot more. So he's winning the European tournaments, and like it was such a rival for me. But then from years and years we just remembered the situation. We was laughing, and I remember like Avik also told me that he came to SWC and he was watching how I was playing the games. And then first time we met seriously, it was QuakeCon 2006 straight away right after SWC. And yeah, we just met there. Bas manager of Serious Gaming and owner of it, he made this possible as well, and it was cool. I think it
Well,
was
to
really
be
cool.
honest, guys, if you would like to speak about it, we already, even in Katowice after the tournament, we spoke about it
Yeah.
about 7 hours straight. Can you imagine? We went to speak about it at like 3 or 4 p.m. and we end up speaking about it at 1 a.m. in the night. So basically, it took us like 7 or even more hours to speak about our past. Like it's impossible to describe it in like 1 hour or something, but also like how we met, like how we generally met. You forgot also about WCG 2006. It's funny
As
story.
well, yeah, as
I
well,
didn't
yeah.
know him like that good back then. First of all, you need to remember that we both were like 14 and 15. We didn't speak English back at that time, so we couldn't like really communicate. Then I started to catch up on Russian and things like this, and English, and we both like kind of speak together. But I remember we were getting shuttle from like a hotel to the tournament area on WCG 2006. And you know, you're getting into the shadow, you are a new guy because you're new to the competitive scene, and you are looking for your like seat, you know, in the bus. So the free seat was next to cYpheR, and I was like, man, I really want to sit next to him. I really like this guy, and I really just want to hang out with him. So I sit next to him. I didn't say nothing because I didn't know how to say hello. I just waved to him or something like this. He also like did like some move with his head.
Salute.
Yeah, salute that he's fine with it. And then we are sitting, and after a minute, he's like poking me, and he's saying, man, get this." And he takes out his like one earphone from his like ear, and he gives me this, and he said, listen to this. And
Oh,
I'm putting it to my ear, and it's some Russian rap, and we both like going for an hour to the tournament, and we
Probably it
just
was
like,
goof.
yeah,
a
we probably it
beautiful
was goof,
story.
yeah. And we basically like went to the tournament area without like talking with each other. We only listened to the Russian rap, and that's how we somehow
Yeah.
hang out with each other. And there was like many situations in the beginning which like made our relationship stronger. There was like many funny stories, many sad stories. Like
The thing is,
we
then when we start to grow up, our stories became like, more and more grow up, and it was the funny thing that we know each other from when we didn't really was like old enough, to how to explain, like from the kids, we already see how we grown,
yeah,
and we
we
had
observe
like,
each other, you know, how he's
yeah,
developing as a person, his character,
and it was years and
everything.
years coming out, and on every LAN we met, and it was like,
And before that, as I
big share
said,
of
like it
experience.
was like Russian rap. We also like after tournament on WCG. I remember we still didn't speak like English, you know, and we were invited by Fatality to the poker tournament. And I remember what made our relationship even stronger is that we didn't know how to play poker. We were newbies. Like I think you know this guy Dello from like our organization. He was English guy as well.
Yeah,
like
Reason Gaming or something.
Reason
Delo.
Gaming, I think. Delo, yeah. So he was owner of manager of it, and he bought us the chips, I think, to play poker with them. And we couldn't like play with them because we didn't know the rules. So basically, they all of them were old, right? So they got drunk. And what we were doing to catch up, we were like, I was like stealing chips from the fatality or someone on the left, and he was so drunk that he didn't even realize it. So at some point, we had like almost the same chips as them, and they didn't know how is it possible that we are losing all the
And we
time,
were
and we are
losing all the
gaining
time,
and
yeah.
we are gaining chips somehow, you know. So such little stories when we don't communicate with each other, but like we are just like have this vibe without like
Yeah,
speaking, you know. So
it's,
I'm sorry to fatality you get wrapped on your tournament. You probably didn't even realize that we still used to.
it's yeah, it's stories like these that I really love, and I think I don't know. I get this kind of feeling that you're almost like the troublemakers of the scene, but in the way that every time I've been to an event, and I've only been to them since 2012, you guys are just have been together, just laughing, not at people, but as people go past, you guys are just always laughing, and I don't know, you always look like you're up to something, and it's just yeah, it's been a nice relationship to see develop, even from my side, years and years after you guys initially met each other.
Well,
I will continue because otherwise you guys are going to
yeah,
talk,
we don't have time
and
for
I
that.
don't have a purpose. Otherwise, I have no purpose whatsoever. And I want to talk about some Quake a little bit. I hope that you're okay with that. Because you guys have obviously had a lot of experience playing against each other. The way that I've been hearing it, and I think it might have even been expressed by both of you to me, is that Avec tends to have the sort of mental advantage going into games. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I want to hear cYpheR's perspective first on how it is playing against Avec and also how it is different to playing against anybody else.
So it's for me firstly, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is some kind of like many years story. So like when I all the time face Alec, I never look at his current shape. I never look at the game. I always look up at his abilities. And from my experience when I face him, it started. Everything started from Quake 4, of course, when I couldn't like win against him in Quake 4, and it's changed in SWC Masters in France. So I had a feeling that maybe at some point I'm okay to win him in more slow game as Quake 3, and I have no chance in such kind of dynamic and fast game as Quake 4. But you know, even in Quake 3, even in Quake Live, I lost so many times. And to describe specifically, I think it's more like everybody knows how Ava can be aggressive, but I think it's mostly about this kind of tech. How to say, like when you feel his dodges, it's so much different than from the others, and his moves is like you're reading them at some point, but at other point you don't read how he is going to approach them and how he's gonna like execute them. All the time it looks different, and all the time it looks more or less unexpected. Sometimes I can catch the flow, and I had like tournaments, and I had tournaments and I had maps where I could catch the flow of Avak, and could catch flow of mine, and stop him somehow. But overall, yeah, it's one of my uncomfortable opponents, just because I don't know. Maybe it's just because of like overrating in my head. Maybe it's just because. Um, all the time we played against each other, it is just a really long period of time delays between it, you know, like I play one game against him and then the next game I play against him like maybe in 1 year or something like that, and there is not much opportunity to know all the aspects and all the small things. So I would say like this.
Avec, have you got anything?
Well, for me, it was totally different approach at this point. Whenever I played him, I consider him as playing a friend. I didn't have like that big of rivalry going into him, so it gave me also this like comfortable mental situation before the games. Because the thing is that I was never ever angry at him when he won against me, and it never happens against any other player. So I was always with a like comfortable state of mind. And yeah, what cYpheR said, I think over the years, yeah, I managed to win some games, but also I lost games to him. So
Mm.
maybe like the balance is a bit in my favor or something. But but I was losing games to him, especially in Quake 3.
Yeah,
But he was in
and
like really godly shape.
I just want to like ask, like, how is it different playing Cypher than it is to play? I don't know. I could name a player, but I mean, like literally anybody else.
Mm,
Is there a difference in your head when you approach Cypher, or is it maybe specific to everybody?
I think it's the same as everybody. It's just I know that after the outcome, one doesn't matter if I'm gonna win or lose. I'm still gonna be at some point fine with it. So I never like I'm always like happy that he advanced. So
Hmm.
in this case, I'm like more comfortable mentally.
Yeah. And Cypher, I mean, you could say that there's been a sort of rivalry with Rafa, even though it's been a sort of long distance. You guys have been challenging each other for championships in Quake Live for pretty much its whole 10 years history. Um, is there a way that you approach Rafa differently or anybody else differently to Avik?
Look, I'm just such kind of person where even if I totally agree with Avik about like losing or winning, sometimes I can feel like a little bit of like regret that I lost or something like that. But overall, yeah, it's true that Avik is like one of the guys. If I lose him, that I don't really like stress so much or something like that. But still, because I'm that kind of like person, I really put sometimes everything to win and in my head and stuff like this. So I try to. So yeah, such kind of rivals is always in my head, even if we're like such kind of good friends as we are. But still, um, for me, it doesn't matter. For me, it doesn't matter if it's gonna be cooler, Rafa, Avek, or like Evil it was, or somebody else. I just feel like my game is not as good to beat them, and what should I do to do that? Even
Mm,
even if they're my friends or something like that.
fair enough.
Yeah,
So,
I just wanted to add that it doesn't matter what player you play. Like Quake is like one v one game, right? So it's like it's really like mental heavy. You need to be in really like perfect like mental state to be
Exactly.
able to win the games. It doesn't matter who you play. It's like uh, team games are much easier mentally wise, and I'm sure about it. And I heard it from CS players, and I heard it from many other players. It's sure thing. We played also TDM 2v2, 4v4, and Sacrifice because you know that. In certain situations people won't look only at you, but they
mhm,
will look at the team as a whole, right? So it doesn't matter if your teammate is doing worse or better. You just need to like play good as a team, so there is no as much pressure. And here you have one guy, you have point of view on him, all eyes on him, and he needs to deliver. That's much more difficult, like mental wise.
mm. Totally agree. I want to push it away from the gameplay for just a quick segue, because we were talking about lands, and you guys have already got like hundreds of memories to think about. Have you got any memory from a Quake land that's not like in the game itself, but around the game? Avik, I'll actually go with you first. What's your like? Doesn't have to be your best memory, but something that like stands out to you the most in your experiences.
What is most important to me?
No, well,
What's
no, not most important, but just like something that happened at a Quake land that really stands out to you. It could be something funny, something that meant a lot to you. It could be anything. Maybe you saw something that was nice. I don't know.
Uh, well, there was like many stories like this. You know, when I started with Fatality and stealing chips from him, like you can go through many stories like this.
Just a
Like even
favorite. I want a favorite.
I have even one more with Fatality if we're talking about him. Like you
Okay.
know, he had this little tiger on his monitor, so
Mhm.
it was his mascot. Like he was always bringing it, he was putting it on his monitor, and he believed that thanks to this tiger, he's winning events. And back then, when he was like playing Painkiller, he was actually winning most of the events, right? Except that the tours were like Vu was winning before him, right? So I remember also there is like Polish friend like CARMAC. He's like working for ESL now,
Mhm.
and he loved to make a lot of jokes. If you Google him or if you YouTube him and you YouTube like Ushat, he was making like interviews with famous players who didn't know him like that much back then, and he was pretending that he's like a foreign guy and he doesn't speak English. So he was speaking with really broken English, even though his English is perfect because he was like since 2 years old or three, he was watching Cartoon Network and things like this, and his English became perfect. So he came to the idea that he's gonna steal this tiger from Fatality, and he thought that it's gonna be great joke, right? But when he did it, Fatality
furious. He went totally ham. He was so mad, and because of that, CARMAC gave him back this tiger, of course, because the situation get too serious, right? But because of that, he lost to Neok or someone like this, or someone. I don't want to throw names and stuff like this because I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure that he was so pissed that he lost the game next game. There was some story like this. There was many actually cool stories.
I wanted to add one thing about CARMAC. You told me you just said that he was doing this ruffles
Oh my
and
god!
these things,
Yeah,
and
these
once
jokes. Yeah,
and he was all the time he was biting and doing jokes and all this kind of thing. And once he came to me, it was England tournament. It was
I remember. That's
31 or something, and I was like 16 years old or 17 years old. It was Quake 4 times, and he came to me like he was really rushing me and pushing me, and then he started to like really like nervously like trying to explain me, and I didn't like talk English or I didn't understand much. I could understand like 30-40% of what he was saying, and he was like really like stressed. He was really looking at me stressing and like explaining me that I'm going to get deported because Lukashenko called them and he said that he is going to like make all the Belarusians go back because there is something happening.
They close in the country because
they're closing the
country.
Yeah, and I need to go right now. I even like need to. I don't have time. I can't even like pick up my stuff, like mouse, keyboard, and stuff like this. And there was like a camera guy, and then we were starting to run with him, and I'm like, what's going on here?
And then he told me about it before, and he said, "Just don't say cYpheR. I'm gonna make this joke on him." And when I looked at cYpheR and his eyes, and he was so sad and he was so scared, I was like, "Man, I just can't continue with this. I feel so bad for him. It's unbelievable, man." Yeah, he was crazy guy. I remember I was sleeping at his apartment in Warsaw before leaving to some tournament. And man, you're just going to sleep, you chill out, you chilled, totally chilled, right? You feel safe in your bed, right? You feel comfortable, everything is warm, and you're falling asleep. At one point, this guy is rushing like to my room, to my bed, and it's like he's trying to like scare me or something like this. I'm like, man, what are you doing? Stop with these jokes finally. It's just impossible. I'm scared to sleep in your apartment, man. I don't know what you're gonna do. Or, for example, in England, the same tournament that cYpheR is talking about, I'm taking the bath. So I'm taking the bath, and he's rushing.
What, a bath? Like you're lying in the bath?
Yeah. I'm lying in the bath, with bubbles and things like this, in like bathtub, and he's rushing into it with this like swimmer cap, and he said, "Man, you need to put this swimmer cap, and I'm gonna make photos with you." And I was already so like, I was kind of angry at him. I was pretty mad at him, and I was like, "Man, I know you're a journalist right now, and everything what you're doing is for attention. So don't please put any caps on me or make photos. Don't get attention for yourself." And he also, "No, it's not for my attention. I'm just gonna make photos." And he really made me. I was 15 or 16. He made me do this and put this like swimming cap. I look hilarious. He made photos, but he never ever posted it. I was like, "Man, please just don't post these photos ever." I think he still got it somewhere, but like he was doing many this crazy stuff.
That's absolutely mad. Actually, I'm gonna realign back some Quake. I'm guessing, by the way, the answer to the previous question is that CARMAC was like a source of some very memorable moments at Quake LANs. But now I want to talk about some memorable moments within the game. Maybe it's in the game at LAN, or maybe it's in the game from home, where things are a bit more. I don't know. It's like personal to you, right? Everything that's going on in your own vision of the pixels on the screen. Is there anything that happened in a competition, maybe not in a competition, in any mode, in any game, any Quake, any maybe not even Quake at all? Something a fond memory, cYpheR, anything that stands out for you from any point in time?
I don't know, man. It was pretty good moment when we participated with Avec and Strengths in a shootmania tournament in France, and we won like against ADK in some close matches 3-2. And even though it wasn't like something big, but I think it was big for each of us at some point.
Especially for me, but I'm gonna tell my story,
yeah,
my point of view.
but in the end, I just remember how happy we were and how fun it was to just came to France, to Paris, and play it. And I don't know, everything looks really cool. it was some kind of amphitheater or something. I don't know. It looks really cool, and we managed to win. And I don't know. At this moment, like the first thing which came to my mind straight away.
Also, I want to go back with one more thing. So CARMAC is also like not only good at English, but also he knows the most languages in the world. I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know if I can, like Zoo, like mention it in our like a chat, that CARMAC learned the phrase, like, tell your mom to change lipstick, to don't change lipstick so often because my dick is like a rainbow. He learned that phrase in like over 20 languages. So he knew it in Swedish, in Danish, in German, in Dutch, in French, in Italian, in Spanish. So he's a Spanish guy. He comes to him and he tells him this phrase. He see like a German guy. He comes to him and he tells this phrase. It was like hilarious and people loved it actually. It was the first like it was like first like a prank guy in esport, I think, and he was doing it pretty good. And some people were really getting mad because sometimes he was like speaking it so clearly in Swedish, for example, that the guy thought that he's Swedish and he's like insulting him. And you know, it was just foreign guy like learned one phrase in 25 languages, and every time he was like speaking it, and it was great. And yeah, the story which cYpheR told about, yeah, we played Shootmania tournament. It was 3v3. Like, long story short, I don't know, guys, if you know how Shootmania looks like 3 guys defend, 1 guy attacking with rail, 3 guys have rockets, right? And we defend in the base. Another way around. Attack is really, really, really hard. And like for all tournament, I couldn't like make attack. I was attacking and I couldn't kill them. I was attacking and I couldn't kill them, and I couldn't kill them, and I couldn't kill them. And last round we playing against this team, and I'm attacking, and I'm like, oh my god, we are done. We are just completely
And the thing,
done.
if he will lose, if he will lose this attack, and attack is like was really hard to make it. If he would lose it, we would lose the tournament.
Yeah.
And it's
I started to attack. I was like, man, I never win attack. Like, I'm not gonna do it this time. So I just YOLO to the base. I hit 1 guy. Somehow I killed him, and I start to dance around the base. And they couldn't like hit me with rocket, and I somehow like took it, and we like went ham. Like 1 year ago or something, I was looking for YouTube video and I found it, and man, you are just like rushing the stage, like throwing headsets and things like this, and it's perfect. It's just perfect, you know.
Yeah, and the team which was sitting on opposite side of us, they also was screaming, and they were like, whoa, like they were like so mad. They were so all the time mad. We were fighting on the stage really all the time against the AKM, Lanfis it was, and Crew, right?
Yeah.
AKM, Lanfist, and Crew.
Okay. I think so too. Yeah.
I remember they were like some of the best in the scene at that point.
Yeah, later they were winning a lot of events, and AKM basically became a star after that. Like all of them.
He's in Overwatch League and everything now, isn't he?
Yep.
Right. I have more questions. We're getting there, but Av3k keeps distracting us with fantastic stories. So we'll talk about some Quake Pro League because that's what you guys are doing at the moment quite a lot. I know that cYpheR's a very busy man, but Quake Pro League is definitely a focus of the attention in 1v1. I think cYpheR is 11th with 196 points, and Av3k is 12th with 188 points. I don't know what the points mean, but it's a big number. How have things been? Like, I think cYpheR, since I've been watching, you've actually been kind of doing pretty awesomely. You didn't have the best start to Quake Pro League, but you got in after in Italy, and it seems it's been pretty positive. How are things at the moment?
It's weird for me as well, of course, but in the same time, I can say this for sure with my base experience of like what to do in the game and how to approach the wins. Only what I need to do is to feel like really, really, really good aim wise, and to just be like really cold head. If I manage to make myself to not worry about my things in life, if I'm really like fine with my life in like every aspect, then in game I'm really cold head. And lately I changed my crosshair a bit, changed my positioning a bit, and it made my aim be as like what I wanted. So I don't know how long it will pass since I lost to Toxic, but still I felt that I'm playing fine. Maybe worse than I used to aim, or worse than I used to do. And there was like some specific moments which happened, why it happened like this. But overall, I feel like I just started to aim better, and that's it.
And I thought you changed your crosshair and stuff like all the time.
No, not that. So this is what I'm saying. Like I changed it. I changed one more thing, like positioning wise, and since then I'm not changing anything. Not skin. Like maybe one I changed like LG skin, and that's it. And I feel like I don't need to change anything. I just like I have like my maximum. All I need to do is to go forward and to play as cold head as possible.
Fair enough. Avec, how's
It
control been for you?
is. It same goes for me. I need to be on really top shape, like mechanically. So aim wise, it's really important for me. And many times on internet, I can get my aim somehow. I'm also trying to change things. I'm changing like crosshair. Like now, probably I'm gonna play with the bigger one. And I'm also deciding between two LG skins. I think skins are like they are really impactful for your aim because each of them is like
Really?
different shape, and your perspective like on the screen is changing. You know, if the gun is bigger, your like mouse movement is also like feeling slower a bit. You know. So for example, if your like LG is much smaller than your rocket, it's like basically you are changing from a lower sense to higher sense. It's like it's only your feeling and it's your only your eye
Yeah.
like feeling, but
Yes.
it's just like this. So you need to find the perfect like settings for that.
Interesting.
And for now, I really want to catch like moment where I can win 2 games in a row, because for now I was like winning some 3-0s, losing some 3-0s and things like this. So you are basically stuck in the middle of the leaderboard, right? If you really need to nail it and win 2 or 3 games in a row, then you can get back to the top. Especially that right now for 3-0 you have 32 points, right? So look like how many big changes there are in the leaderboards. You basically like can bounce back from like 17th place to 10 or like to 8 with winning 1 or 2 games, and it's gonna be even more like important in the last stage. So even though Rafa is 419 points right now, which I think he gonna remain on the first position, because I think like, well, let's be honest, like you seen is like much harder to get points because there is so many close
Totally.
matchups. You know, it's really hard to get like 2 times in a row 3-0 in the EU. Like you're basically not seeing this. Like you don't see Cooler doing it. You don't see like anyone doing it in Europe, basically. Or maybe in the first stage, Skillson did it a few times, but it's really hard to nail like two games in a row 3-0. And especially last stage is gonna be 64 points for 3-0. Man,
That's
you
insane.
can gain like 200 points with 3 games.
Just reset the leaderboard. Just reset it.
Do it, Zoot. Do it. You are
I
you
tried.
are impactful, powerful man. You can do
Maybe
everything.
that's why I didn't go to Katowice. I tried to reset
Just
the
like
leaderboard.
just take the screenshot of the leaderboard, put it in Paint, and just reset
Oh
it.
well. This will be my
Put
my own
0,
Quake Pro League.
draw 0 everywhere, and it's gonna be good.
I want to talk a bit more about this stuff though, because it's like it's quite cool and something I really enjoyed when Quake Pro League got announced is the fact that we have reliable Quake all year through, and it's not like we don't know when the next LAN is. We knew the whole schedule for the year, and we knew that for a lot of weekends there'd be Quake content. What as a player, how's your like mindset Avec kind of going, because there's a lot of games. It's not like you're preparing for one big moment every 2 or 3 months. You're preparing for that moment every week sometimes. How does that function on your side?
I think it's depend on the player. I really like to prepare on one event, like totally for one event, and especially that the I don't know how to say that. If you're playing every week, basically a lot of things can happen, like random things, and you can also like depends on your opponent. You can be in advantage or disadvantage because of online and things like this. So, and I'm pretty old school. Like we are like old school players, same as Cooler and same as other guys. We are prefer to play online. I think same goes for cYpheR. It's just like this like is this habit which we have over the years. So I think, and because let's get back for a moment to the history of Quake. You know, all the champions, like Russian champions, like Unkind, Lexer, like Cooler back then, like 04 was playing like as a champ back then. You know, we had many like Quake champions back then. All of them were winning LANs. They didn't really win like internet cups. So we as a kids growing up, we were like, no man, I don't want to win on internet. I want to win ESWC. I want to win like QuakeCon. I want to win WCG, right? So I think it stuck in our mind, you know, that this is what counts, you know, because back then many people were gathering, they were watching, they were cheering, like the guy was like champ, right? So I think this stuck in our mind, and this is like the only change. From other point of view, I understand that people who are watching this, like they don't really care if it's like LAN or like if it's internet. They want to see the game, so it's like for entertainment. So in this case, every week they have a game and they can watch the game which they love.
That's fair.
I think even for like viewers, sometimes like when you feel like the guys is coming to the LAN to like some kind of like Los Angeles, San Francisco, or like Paris, and they also like the guys who is rooting for you. They also feel like it's something different. It's more like it's more serious. It's more valuable, I
special.
would say.
Of course,
It's more
that's why,
special
for example, like
viewers as well.
that's why, for example, we have more viewers on LAN than on internet. So it's like important for everyone. But right now we are in such current state in the world. I think we're gonna touch this subject for a moment later. But we are in such current time in the world that we are only left with internet games, and this is where Quake can rise up, because I don't think CS will hold as good with online only as Quake can do now. Because, and especially that it was already like it's already official that we're gonna play final stages online. They're not gonna cancel it. Quake got cancelled because it's a really big event. It's not only Quake, it's also like
Exhibition, right? It's a whole
exhibition with they talking about new games, new projects, and things like this. So it was too big to hold to it, right? So as soon as it's all cancelled, we can play it online, and final stage is gonna be still played. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna make another season of the league. I don't see a point why they wouldn't do that, especially that they always had a like long-term plan for Quake. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna have Quake for another year.
Yeah, that's true.
It's my own opinion. It's only my own opinion.
And I think actually it's kind of switched the order that I was going to talk about things, but it's a good segue again. What do you think Bethesda needs to do to take Quake to the next level, Alec? Because it has been long term since 2017, right? I think I think that's probably what we argued about in QuakeCon when you lost your voice.
Yeah, well, I will never forget this to you. Fist fight or anything, because I will be punching his belly basically. But we had into argument like on words, and after 1 hour of arguing, drinking alcohol after party, I lost my voice completely. I couldn't speak. Like Ron was laughing. He was like, "Man, you just lost your voice," and I was like, "Ah," I couldn't.
Yeah, you were squeaking.
I couldn't say anything, man. But I would like to have like a second to think about what do they need to do to.
Do you want me to?
Yeah,
put the pressure on cYpheR then?
Yeah, if cYpheR could maybe say something for now, because I need to think about it.
What I understood from being like with different organizations and with talking with them and with being involved in and knowing what do the organizations need, and organizations, as you know, is like the one of the biggest part of esport, and it's that kind of system where the sponsors is coming for like advertisement and stuff like this. So organization is making the esport all around and making the money moving there. And without esport organization, nothing will work out. I would say like this. So I think that such kind of games like Quake, they need to support such kind of organizations. They need like some kind of specific skins with their logos, with their like stickers and stuff like this. So the teams can have this outcome in terms of like, so if they're really involved in the Quake, the stickers have this outcome for the organization. So organization is interested in it, and it's healthy for the game. Game have its own percent, organizations have it, organizations making the advertisements, making the videos, making the highlights, making their players be famous and stuff like this, and it's plus into the game and for the viewers, and it's just interesting. And I think this is one of the most important parts. Like Rainbow Six does have it, Many other teams does have it. CS:GO, Dota, everything. Everybody does have it, and not everybody. And like Riot have it. Like these agreements with organizations.
Even Rocket League has it, you know.
Rocket League. So many people understood it, and if you want to move it and be modern in terms of like communicating with esport organizations, which I think personally is one of the most important aspects in esport, then you have to like integrate something into them, like the stickers, for example. This is my opinion.
No, I think so, and I think these revenue share systems they're getting more and more popular in esports, and it's a very easy way for a brand to get engaged. So I totally agree with that. Avec, I've given you a
Yeah,
moment now.
I agree too. I agree too about the organization. So I'm gonna leave that point and approach from another side. I think what they need also to do, they need to try to take example from CS. Like basically when CS 1.6 was transforming to CS:GO, how they make it big. Because CS:GO in the beginning, many people didn't like it, players didn't like it. There was not like many people who really thought that the game gonna be big, but then what they did was like very smart. They implemented like skins on the market, for example, right? One of the things, little things, they implemented skins which you can like exchange for the money. Later on it led to like some problems with that, but in the beginning they get attention of a lot of kids were like playing for skins. They knew that it has some value, so they don't play for nothing, they could resell it. Then some traders came in, and all of these people who are doing things around CS, around skins, around the game, they also basically get into the game, right? So they played from time to time. They watched the games. They could like get drops on the streams. So that's how they built that community, who were not necessarily only players and viewers, but also people who were trading, who were playing for skins, who were doing that, who are just like enjoying the game. So I think we need to think about some specifics like this, how to implement that into Quake. I think that will be good as well to have it more. And I know nowadays it's much harder to get that because it's like many things in law are more restricted nowadays, I think, in
Yeah.
And
terms of
I wanted
markets in games and real money.
I wanted to also to add as well for like some kind of ideas for Quake is also like to have more business with bettings. I would say like this. So more bettings, the more advertisement about bettings and about show. So if the Quake is making a lot of show before the specific match, and they will make a lot of people to bet on it, I think it's also very healthy. No.
Of course, because
Ca-
people who bet, they're gonna watch the game, right? But we already have people betting because whenever I join like QPL chat, they are
I
like
think not anymore. Do you know that not anymore? Seems like.
yeah, not anymore. But like a few weeks ago, there was some drama with some betting. I went to the chat and like some guys were like mad that someone lose because they bet the money and or they didn't get money or something like this. I don't even understand what was happening. But I read the Twitch chat and someone didn't get paid or something like this.
Yeah, I remember all this kind of drama in CS a long time ago, so it's weird to kind of see it happen in Quake. And what's funny is that Quake is even older than CS actually,
And also,
yet
if
it
you
is still behind on some of these integrations. So it would be nice
yeah.
to be the ones who are creative instead. Actually,
Also about betting, like if you want to have sites like with bets, like you need to you need to make it easy for the API, or how is it called, like the system where they check in scores and stuff like this, so they can get really fast the information, who
The
won, who
feelings.
lost, what was pre-recorded, what wasn't, and what is like fair, because I just reminded myself the guys were writing in chat that some game was pre-recorded and that's why someone didn't get paid or something like
yeah.
this. And from other side, uh, yeah, basically you need to remember that CS and Quake, like 10 or 15 years ago, they were basically on the same level. Like 1.6 and Quake Live, they were always, or Quake 4, they were always on same tournaments. ESWC, DreamHacks, WCG. Well, Quake on was exclusively Quake, but then
Honestly, look
ESL,
and
IEMs, and tournaments like this.
honestly,
It
look
was
and CS
always on
had more
same level,
viewers
but not
always.
necessary, because like I remember one time, for example, like in Kiev on IEM, like there was like Navi playing against NIP, No, I don't want to say. Navi was playing someone in the final, and they lost that final. And Cooler was playing against me in the final. And the difference between viewers was like me and Cooler had like 36K, but it was in Kiev, so you know. And they had like 42 or something
Yeah,
like this. So it was pretty like similar viewerships, you know. The
Mm.
the only problem which I regret, and I think many Quakers regret, is that to some point Quake and CS were on same level. Exactly, money-wise, even Quakers back then get paid more by
yeah.
organizations than CS players. It was crazy, but like big orgs in CS players were getting paid less than Quakers.
And
Because
especially
like
when the
some
prize
players
money
had,
was for one guy and for 5 guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the budget was smaller, so we could get better salaries back then than CS players, and the prize money for tournaments were always similar, or even Quake had bigger because it was for one guy, you know. So till 2012 or 11,
For
Quake and CS were head to head. Then what CS started to do is like, okay, guys, we need to grow it a bit, so let's work on CS:GO, right? They started to work on CS:GO, and that was the time when where Quake stood to Quake Live, and they didn't catch up as fast. That's why
Yeah.
like CS get over the Quake at that time.
Yeah, for sure.
So that
and
was
Another.
then
pretty
and because of
unlucky
the
timing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
because of the differences in the CS, it grew up. Quake stayed on the same state, but people just see that Quake doesn't change in, and CS is so big that Quake is already not that
Plus
kind of
unlucky
like.
situation
Yeah.
2013, 14, 15, let's be honest, 15, 16, it was big bomb for esport. Like there was a lot of money coming in into esport, right? That was the years where esport actually grew. So that was the time, that was perfect timing by CS:GO to go on the market. That was the time where like esport
Yeah.
was growing, there was the most of money, and from 2014 esport was only growing.
Mm.
So that was unlucky timing for like Quake, and luckily for CS.
Maybe another boom. I wanna go on because we're actually 50 minutes into this, and I want to do some questions at the end. So I'm gonna have to pick my questions very carefully. But since we're talking about like other games as well, and you know we've been in arena FPS for a long time, no matter what we say. There's the game Diabotical out as well. There potentially other rivals. There's been that old Unreal tournament, which Epic decided that Fortnite was the game to work on, which was a smart decision from them. cYpheR, have you got any thoughts on whether the competition against Quake with Diabotical and whatever else is coming up?
This is gonna be chaotic for sure. Like for me, it's just chaotic. Like the game by itself is pretty good, but the Quake Champions in the current state is also a good game. You know, like maybe I wasn't really satisfied in the Quake Champions 2017, 2018, when there was like a lot of imbus OPs and they were changing all the time, and the current like many things which wasn't working, like rockets or like LG was different, or like it's every time, like every tournament it was changing, and you couldn't, and you had to catch your flow like really fast. In Diabotical, it's gonna be the same all the time, and it's really look like Quake Live. I don't know, man. I wish one of this game would be at least x2 times bigger than it's in the current state. At least like this. I don't really expect it's gonna be like a mainstream game for sure. I really don't expect it. From many years I've seen Quake and the Arena FPS shooter is always gonna be like the underdog game, but still, it's really excited to watch it. It's
Mhm.
just the matter of how do you like advertise the show, not maybe the game, but the show. And this is what I think that Quake right now doing also good. They're not like pushing you to play it, but they're like really want you to watch it, and it's like their politic right now. And I think it's good politics, just need to be with better, like more and better, say, like options, like how you approach it.
Mhm. Any thoughts as well on the other games like Diabotical Avec? Or
I'm cheering for both games because, as you know, like James Too Good is like my all-time friend. He took care of me on events. That's also funny story. Like one time when I went to some event, he was pretending. I think him or Mad Dog was pretending to be my like uncle or stepfather or something like this when I was 13. There is even photo where he's like holding me over my shoulder, and I'm like really small and young, and he's already grown up man, which is like also nostalgic. So he's my friend, long time friend. So I'm cheering like as hard as I can for the game. How can I not cheer for the game which is made by my friend, right? And I believe that he was so long in esport, and he had big love. He has big love for like FPS games, for Quake, and for every other game that I believe that he can do like a big game and a good game and with a lot of features. And how can I not cheer for that? And if it's competition for Quake, so what? Let it be. Like competition builds like the business, right? If there is no competition in the business, you're not gonna grow as strong as you can be in the industry, right? So let's hope it's gonna be working in synergy, you know, and
Yeah, it's gonna be
one
healthy.
one gonna try to bring up the other. So I
Yeah.
really hope for that it's gonna work in synergy,
Yeah.
and we all gonna make it great.
And I hope that reflects in the communities too, because you sometimes get the rivalry, which maybe it's good that people are saying Quake's better, no, Diabotical's better, no, whatever's better, and you want people to argue and fight against each other. But I hope they won't do it to the detriment of, pushing people away.
But it also can split the community, which is also bad. Like
Yeah.
But
it's
from my
two
point
sides.
of view, if we are welcomed by Too Good to play the game, I think people gonna play the game. You know, it's like if there is no restrictions, you know, you can choose whatever you want to play. Of course, there's gonna be players who gonna say, I want to play both games, but I feel like I cannot focus on both games, right? So let's say I'm gonna play like only Quake or only Diabotical, but there are gonna be guys who gonna play both games, for example, and we are welcome in both games. So it's great, you
Totally.
know. And especially I think I'm not sure, but from what I know from talks with Tugut and from my interest into the Diabotical, the original plan was like to push Diabotical as esport title in a team mode, right? In 3v3. That was the beginning, like beginning idea of Tugut. I don't know if he changed that to 1v1, but I think he didn't, because he's like a personal like opinion about 1v1 games is like, man, 1v1, it only gives you anxiety.
I
He's
like
like,
that
man,
anxiety.
how can you play 1v1? It gives me anxiety. I feel stressed. I feel nervous. Like 1v1, everything on me. You cannot play 1v1. Team is fun.
That's what I love about it, but it's different for everyone, right?
Yeah, some people love it, and some people really it gives you anxiety.
But it makes it easy to watch with 1v1 because you understand everything that's happening. That's been my positive. But I want to push the questions onwards because we are getting towards the end, and I want to remind people in chat that we will have some questions coming up soon. But I want to talk about the current climate that we have in the world, because things are pretty crazy at the moment with COVID-19 around. So I hope everybody is staying safe. Of course, this has been having a big impact on events around the world, and Quake is included on that, with some lands that have been getting either cancelled, stuff's been moving online, as Avic's already been mentioning. QuakeCon itself got cancelled, and I guess we're seeing what the solution is for that and how it affects the Quake Pro League. cYpheR, how has this situation in the world affected Quake Pro League from a competition standpoint? Do you think there's people getting advantages from this, or like, I don't know if I even fully understand how it has impacted Quake Pro League, and you'll probably know better given that you speak to the people inside the business.
Not that much, actually, to be honest. But from what I can imagine, that the placements will be different than we used to see it on LANs. Maybe that guys who was trying to approach the LAN form as the same as an internet right now, for them it will be easier. Like, for example, such kind of guys like Venger or something like that. The guy who is owning and recting in internet, or some others. Maybe for them it will be easier. Overall, it's not for like somebody it's gonna be like a big advantage, but I think for somebody it will be big disadvantage. For example, the guy who is with us, Avicandro, he is struggling with internet, and if his internet gonna be like the thing which will not allow him to win, then this is like the sad story. Like how can you really knows who is better if one is struggling with internet?
True.
I'm gonna approach it from different side. Let it be like this. But I think in general the situation is like hard for like all industries, but what I believed in the beginning of this whole situation when it was starting to like build up, I thought that esport gonna be only one industry which can actually take advantage of that at some point. And in the beginning, like I saw some streams like hitting like biggest numbers in CS and things like this. You know, ESL was like having like records like on streams. So I was hoping that people gonna stay home, play games, so there's gonna be more like players, more viewers, and there's gonna be more interest in the gaming industry. And I still believe esport can grow with that. And even though we have final stages online, from what I know, developers like I think the Quake Bethesda gonna react pretty fast. So we are sure, even though that QuakeCon is like cancelled, let's say if the borders are open and everything is cool in June, July, I'm pretty sure they're gonna get some place to make us play online. Even like this ESL studio in Katowice, like the smaller one, like the studio, I think it's not gonna be a problem for them to make a deal with ESL and get that for like 3 days and play it out there. You know, we don't really need to fly to US, which is good for Europeans. And we could play it online in Katowice.
Yeah.
And I think in general, esport world right now should also think maybe about how to push like players' visas, because lately we have like many problems. I'm not talking about Quakers, but I heard many stories that some people going for Overwatch League or from other leagues or for CS or for some other tournaments, and they are just not getting visas. You know, maybe we can finally have like sport visas, like real in real sports. It's also like interesting subject.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good point. I'm good at guys. I'm going to
It's
move
for
it over
another
to the sort of.
podcast. It's for another podcast because as I said,
Honestly,
we could talk like ages about all this.
I've still got like questions to answer to ask you guys like that I've made. So, but we've got some questions that have been asked by other people. I've got questions, guys. People asking me some questions too. Or is that Pajalsa telling me to ask you guys that? So I'm gonna answer Pajalsa's question first. Favorite Quake game mode apart except Duel? For me, it's probably I think capture the flag. I've always loved. What about you two? Avik first.
2v2, 4v4 TDM.
I like FIFA and 4v4 to DM. 2v2
Wait.
actually was also really fun, to be honest.
What was the first one you said, cYpheR?
FIFA,
FFA.
like
FFA.
free for all.
Oh, really? Okay. You a big deathmatch player or?
Not that much, but I really like it.
Okay, fair play. Zerker on the Masters asking about Scalebearer in Duel in Quake Champions, of course, in his current state. You guys have any thoughts on him? The way I've seen him, he's been a bit of a meme for a long time, but he's actually gotten a bit better in the last probably since 2019.
Scale, I think
Yeah.
he's already good since
1
year, over 1 year.
It's
I
just
think
a
he's
matter
pretty
of fast to
strong.
play it. Yeah, it's just I think many people is just lazy to practice him like hard, and maybe they're like or they're afraid at some point. But he's really strong. He's really strong now.
It's like you're putting a lot of time into one champion and you are not really sure that it's gonna pay off. This is how I
Especially
feel
like
with
a
Scale. I
Scalebearer.
feel that if I'm gonna take Scale and grind it, I might end up in a match when somebody just gonna wreck me, because my hitbox is like big. If I'm gonna make mistake with my decision, it's gonna be just like 1 second and you are gone. So this is what I'm afraid of with Scale. But in general, in right hands, he's like really strong, and it's like from my perspective, it's really hard to deal with him.
I saw that in the practice leading up to QuakeCon 2019. I think it was Hron who was just destroying everyone with Scalebearer on Molten Falls or something.
Yeah,
And
but then
really saw it happen after that.
then he said himself, "Man, I just pussy out on LAN. I didn't pick him. I just pussy out because I could pick like medium champs and I just pussy out. I didn't pick Scale, but he did actually pick many times on QuakeCon. But later on, like on other events, he didn't pick it as much."
Yeah, I see. There are more questions here. I don't know how to like interpret Stardin's question. What do you guys think of a new champion, a Spectre, that's ultimate is going through what? I think they're trying to bring Dota 2 in this or something like that. But actually, on that topic, is there any like champions, whether it's going through walls? Because I don't know. We already see through walls. Have you imagined any champions yourself, or do you let
Of
other
course.
people do the imagining for you?
Of course, I think I think you can implement at this time anything to Quake because there is so many champions and abilities. We can like get a Spectre going through the walls, or we can have like aimbot like a soldier from like Overwatch or anything like this. You know, that will be also cool. Let's say you have ultimate for 2 seconds where you're hitting 100% OG. Why not? You have wall hack. Why not aimbot? You
Do it
know,
all of it.
everything can work. It's just the matter of balance or things like this. You know. So of course, every new champion you bring in into the game, like after like some time, you need to like closely look into him and adjust it. You will never like implement new champion and it's gonna be perfect and balanced and everything gonna be good. It's impossible.
That bit I definitely agree with, actually. Is there who asked this question? So Pete asked, how does it take Avik to do his hair?
You sure it was Pete?
I'm pretty sure it's him controlling Twitch. He's on Discord with us.
I'm upset. I wouldn't think Pete gonna do that. No, I basically it took me shower plus like 10 minutes.
That's
Well,
pretty
like
impressive.
shower is like, well, I'm taking long showers lately. I don't know why. Like 1 year ago, I was like, I had a rule that I'm taking cold showers, and it worked perfect for me. I felt
What?
great. Like I was going into the like shower, and I was like putting very cold water, and I was like showering really fast because it was cold. So 3 minutes and I'm done, and I felt so good. But nowadays, I'm just like, I'm just pussy. I'm going in there and I'm putting like very hot water, and I'm standing there for 20 minutes, and it's so good.
Very good. Rob tells me to pick a question I had from the list. So I want to pick my question. I'm going to pick is to cYpheR, because I mentioned it earlier on that he's been doing so many other things in gaming at the moment, and I'm wondering if your experiences with Apex, I think you dabbled with Overwatch, of course, and all these other things. You know, we mentioned shootmania earlier with Avik. Is there anything that you've learned about yourself getting involved in these other games and communities?
Man, like last 5 years for me, it's like totally like new world. I mean, new life. And yeah, I think for through these 5 years, I faced totally different side of the life at some point. Maybe maybe almost in the same industry, but what I faced last 5 years, yeah, it's definitely I can say like experience. This for sure.
What do you say is something that stands out for you in I don't know, in like lessons learned, if that makes sense?
The people is different, and everybody have their own opinion. First of all, and you have to respect that. And yeah, basically.
That's incredibly honest. I very much like that. I'm gonna dig up some more. You guys got matchups tonight. I don't know who you're playing, but Avik, who are you playing? And tell us about it.
I already I didn't play bass last week, but I
Okay.
already played pre-recorded this week.
Right.
He 3-0'd me like a champ. Unfortunately.
Wait, are you meant to say that? Wait, has it
Well,
been
the game is
broadcasted yet?
the game is uploaded already on YouTube somehow. So I don't
Oh,
know,
okay.
and it was watched already by few K people. So I think it's like it's official, I guess. I thought it's we're gonna hold it till Sunday, but anyway. And today I'm playing another match with Sparty. I think it's at
Oh, okay.
8 p.m.
Got it.
CEST time. And
So
Seferit is playing Kilson, which is pretty interesting.
you're gonna throw meatballs at him? What are you gonna do with Sparty?
With Sparty, I think
Yeah.
he got enough of meatballs. Did you see his breakfast?
No,
No, you didn't on Twitter?
no. He sometimes shows me his breakfast actually,
His
and
breakfast
never.
is like 3 plates, like full of meat, potatoes, like pasta, like
Yeah,
another
yeah.
like
Party
meat,
eating like a bull.
vegetables. He's eating more on breakfast than I ate like for 2 days.
Christ. cYpheR, who are you playing today? Tell
I'm
us.
playing Kilson.
Oh, that's a. He's like the top European at the moment on points, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
How's your feeling going into that?
Of course, I feel like probably I'm gonna lose, but I will just, man, I will just try to enjoy my game. First of all, I just wanna try to not lose really badly. And if I will have opportunity to like win something, then I will use it.
You will take it.
I will take it.
Whatever he gives, you take. You don't. You don't
No,
decline it.
seriously, I can't predict this matchup because I know that it's gonna be pretty bad for me. But I just hope that if I would be managed to catch the flow and do good in the beginning of the maps, then I will be fine. But overall, he's really aggressive. He's really catching off guard a lot. He doesn't afraid at any fight. So if if I would really want, our score would be like really huge because he's fighting for almost every item in the beginning, and when he make a frag, then it's really hard to catch him because it's nowhere to see him until he will be like 100 to 200. Really basic style of play, like really default, but in the same time because of his like technical wise and how he approached the beginning of the map, like how he is aggressive and how he catch you off guard before the second big item. It's really scary, I would say.
Fair enough. I got a question from Tsar Johan. What got you guys into gaming and how did you find out about Quake and eventually into competing? I know that Avik, we've spoken about this before, and you tell me a lot about the sort of the LAN cafe system in Poland years and years ago. Has this been part of it? How did you discover Quake?
It's question to me.
Yeah, well, to both of you, but I'll start with you.
Well, I think it's same for me and same for cYpheR. Like internet clubs were really popular back then in both of our countries, in whole CIS region, like all east of Europe. So I think we all started the same. I think Cooler started the same, cYpheR started the same, and I did start the same. We went to the internet club and we saw like some people playing CS, some people playing Quake, and some people played Warcraft, right? Or like other
Yeah.
games, you know. And we just happened to play Quake.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And competing there was just a natural progression to beat the people who are playing Quake in those clubs.
Well, of course, you wanted to be
Yeah.
the best in your internet club. Then another internet club was coming to you and was saying, "Hey, man, who's the best player here? Okay, this guy. Okay, we got better than you. Like, we can like bet $50 that our guy gonna beat your guy." And they, yeah, let's go. So then we were playing like between each other, and then we were making tournaments like between internet clubs, like team modes between internet clubs, you know, and things develop like this. I remember the most exciting thing back then as a kid was like there was when you were going for a night, you know, whole night of playing, like Friday or Saturday, you could enter the internet club at night and play from like 9 p.m. till 6 a.m. in the morning, and you paid less for an hour, you know. So I was like waiting whole week to go to the internet club and play all night, on Friday, for example.
And
And
I guess
excuse me, I just wanted to add about these times is that I was more excited about the upcoming tournaments than nowadays, to be honest. And when we came to the like with my friends, we came to these tournaments. All the time you were working around. There were a lot of people who were signing up, and you all the time see the new people. It was like every tournament you always see like some new people coming out and showing themselves, like, and they're coming into like maybe quarters, sometimes maybe something like that, and you're like, whoa, what is this guy? Who is that? Like,
Yeah, you were talking
how's
between each other, like, you see this guy, yeah, who
yeah,
it is?
yeah.
I don't
Who
know,
it
man.
is?
Where
And
did
every
he come
tournament
from?
it was like this. Every tournament it was somebody new or something like that. And from years and years, I was starting to participate in tournaments like these small internet club tournaments since I was 11 or 12. And before my first international tournament, it was like 5 years I was playing these small cups in internet clubs. And
Or
only
you were
after 5 years, I came to ESWC 2006.
or you were like traveling from one city to another city to play
Yeah.
like in a tournament, you know, and you were going by trains. You didn't really book the night because you didn't have money back then, so you were sleeping in train station or in a train or on a chair in the internet club after tournament, you know. There was many rumors going on, like one guy was saying, "Man, you need to eat banana before the tournament, right?" And I was like, "Why?" Because banana has some substance inside that is gonna make you play better. But I was like, what substance? Some vitamin or something? I don't know, man. Like something, but I don't really know the name. But it has something that you need to eat it, and you need to eat it with bread. And I was like, okay. So I was eating like bread and banana, you know, because I thought it's gonna work good.
And
Now
it
I
was
know
working
it has
good.
a lot of potassium and things like this, which works good on your heart. So it's like making you more calm. It has vitamin B and things like this, which is like working on your nerve system, for example, which was kind of true back then, but they didn't know what it has.
So
But they
just
knew that you
eat
need
it.
to eat
Just
banana,
eat-
yeah.
I've got a couple more from chat, and okay, actually, I think it's from the same guy. Actually, Johan, biggest gaming achievement and why? I was trying to think, like, can I actually guess this for both of you? But I'm 30 years old now, and my memory's dying. Avec, biggest
Well, for
achievement.
me, 1v1 biggest achievement is ESWC 2007, which I won against Cooler in the final. That's for Jewel. I won like 3 times DreamHack, I think, as well, which is like, I think nobody did it more from any other game. And 2007, I was also, I think it's even on Wikipedia that I was the youngest champion ever in any game. And team modes, I won 2011 QuakeCon in 4v4 TDM with Noctis, Sparty, and Krisa. So that was also pretty nice to have because I didn't expect that win. We are facing like Ice Climbers with Tox, Fox, Starmie, and Lincoln, I think, and we managed to beat them. So that was pretty
True.
unexpected, and I was very, very happy with this QuakeCon win. And that's only QuakeCon which I managed to win. I never won any other QuakeCon in 1v1 or anything like that. So
it's
it's good
cYpheR
to
and
have the
Rafa were
statue.
doing it.
Yep. They were stealing all the wins on QuakeCon.
Well, what's your biggest gaming achievement, cYpheR?
From overall, so I think I was counting. I won 11 or 12 World Cups where all the people were participating from NA and from Europe, and all of them were on the same place. And 11 or 12 tournaments like this I won. But the most memorable one was the QuakeCon 2010 against Cooler, because it was, first of all, it was the most tense,
That was an amazing
and
game.
the second of all, I really stopped believing in myself back then. I thought that it will be super hard to win it, and I was in like one of my best shapes, and that finals was just took half of me. Like, it's just I was completely out of energy, completely like off after that finals. Totally took everything from me. So yeah, I remember that final like this.
Yeah, and if anyone who hasn't seen it, I recommend watching Error Walk. In particular, it was one of the most memorable maps in that series. Where didn't you played out of control in overtime? Something like
I remember
5
that.
minutes or
I was
something
watching
like
this
that?
match in Germany, and he was like basically on 20 HP for
Yeah,
like 2 or 3 minutes.
it's
And
insane.
Kuler couldn't like catch him and kill him.
And in Error Walk, that just doesn't really happen. If you
Yeah,
have 20
yeah.
HP, you
Um,
just suffer.
Even though like there was only like 2 moments where I was really scary. I thought that he was supposed to kill me, but he choked or something like that. Overall, like even if I was like really low HP, he didn't like go and push me like to kill me, And I was like holding that kind of position, and I was all the time expecting that, okay, if not these 5 seconds, then another 5 seconds he will come and kill me. So I was trying to like to find like a backups and to find and all the time like hiding, because I know that one frag and I'm Donzo with this tournament, because he was already winning 2-1, 2-1, and it was like fourth map, and if I would lose it, I would lose the tournament. And yeah, and there was like a few situations when where there was like a TP next to Mega, and I came there less than 100 HP, and Cooler did like pre-fire, and he missed that, and he didn't like get into the TP for me to kill, and it will be like 100% sure kill. And this is the only what I remember, like what was really 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 scary. And then I remember as well, like on the arrow walk, the moment where I hit him once rail, and it gave me opportunity to get to the position to mega, because I didn't eat any single mega for like 2-3 minutes or something like that. And as soon as I hit one rail and he gave me opportunity to actually take this mega, then I felt like I can actually do it like this. Yeah.
Nice,
I
man.
still remember
Nice.
many situations from that games.
Honestly, I think we need another podcast where we go through some of these highlights that you guys have had in your career. I guess I got last question here. He's just pulling out all the questions, but they're really interesting. And I think aside from the fact that we might judge that, if we put an old map and we put it into Quake Champions, there's a question as to whether you should do that. But let's ignore that question. I want to focus on if there's an old map that you did bring into Quake Champions, what map would you want to see? Avec first, I guess.
I don't really know. I think it's hard to implement like a map from Quake Live, for example, to Quake Champions. It just feels like distances are like different, and but we have like ZTN, right, in Quake Champions, and it works kind of good. So I would like to see like the M13.
Yeah.
Lost World from like Quake Live.
And I would like
the
to
map
see
without ray gun.
Sinister and Cure.
Yeah, they were both
Yeah,
excellent.
Sinister will
I
be really
prefer.
good too. Yeah.
I'm upset that neither of you said T7 Furious Heights.
T7 is really small for Quake Champions, I think.
T7 is my love.
Yeah, it's
I
same,
spent so
but
much
it's
time.
not. I think it's not gonna work out for Quake Champions. To
But
be honest.
I am happy that neither of you said Error Walk or Hectic or Toxicity.
Yeah, they are too
those are
fast for
really
Quake
small.
Champions, I think, and
Yeah.
really, really small. Even like the M13 is very small, and it's too small for Quake Champions. But I still would like to see that.
No, honestly, I think that would be really, really fun. But you know what? I'm going to close off the questions there because we ran much longer than I was expecting. I would like you guys to say any last comments that you guys have. cYpheR, have you any final words you want to say?
Yeah, guys, thank you for cheering for us, for me and Avec, and we're going our way. We are trying to win our games, and we are still stressed and worried about our like like achievements, and we're like going there, and we still wanna win. And I hope both of us finally will get we want stuff like this. Thank you for cheering, and yeah.
Yeah, shout outs to everyone who was watching, and I hope we can do another podcast with you, Zoot, because it was great. And as I said, like we need much more time to like talk about what happened in the past, because there is a lot of like cool stories which I want to talk about, but we just don't have time for that. And especially right now during this like hard times in the world, I think making podcasts might be good way to spend our time, because it takes hour or two and you are just bringing some good content for people, and maybe people are interested in that. I also like to, like myself, I really love to listen to podcasts. Like for example, when everything was open and I was going to the gym, I was like doing some cardio on the bike, and it's like really, really boring. I was always putting my headsets on and I was listening to podcasts. So that was the best thing I could do to survive it.
So
So thanks everyone for watching. Thank you for like this podcast, and I hope it was great. Of course, we're gonna upload it on YouTube. So if anybody wants to rewatch it, or like who didn't arrive for today's stream, because it's pretty early for myself at least, I will be still sleeping if not this podcast. Then we're gonna have it on YouTube. So thank you.
That's a very good point. Yeah, thank you, both of you. And also thank you very much to Endpoint for putting all of this on. It's great for me to still find a way to put my feet into the waters of Quake, because I haven't done too much of it for a few weeks. And yeah, I totally welcome doing some more podcasts where we can talk about. I could tell Avec was just dying to talk about more stories and things that happened in the past. I haven't seen him that excited and happy in a while. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Everyone, stay safe in these tough times. Share the content with your friends, and we'll hopefully see you next time. Take care.
Yep. See you.